Hey everybody, welcome to Review with Me, your review guide of shows, movies, and everything in between. Be sure to click the like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get on with this review. Hey everybody, welcome back to another review with me. I'm your girl Maxine. We are on season 18, episode 20, reunion part 2, the final part of this reunion of Married at First Sight. I'm going to leave this picture here. Yes, I am leaving this picture here of Amem and her fiance Brandon because they're the main character of this episode, and we'll get to them when we'll get to them. But let's go ahead and start on this chronological order here. So this episode starts off continuing where we left off with Michelle and David speaking to the host Kevin Frazier. The question was asked, were y'all together at the time of the text? Like, were y'all already in each other's physical space? David tells us, yeah, I mean, we were at a football game together and her cousin was with us. Like, he's trying to make it look nice and innocent. No, I mean, yeah, it was a group of us, a group of her friends, her cousins. It wasn't just me and her. But I mean, the answer was already given to us just by the text alone. The text again tells us that David said, "You look so damn fine. I want to eat you up." This gives us a lot of information that is either direct or indirect. Though throughout this episode, throughout this reunion, both David and Madison are being little peachy keen, right? They're not being very forthcoming about the timeline of their budding relationship, but we could put two and two together. At this point, though, well, actually, a little bit later, but we're going to jump around a bit. David basically tells us, because he's asked again, this is the main topic, the main character of this season, because it's a big deal. It's unprecedented to have a couple have an infidelity moment, so much so that it leads for them to embark on a relationship together and seemingly found love with each other. Like, just, I know I said last episode, if you are still on here hating on or mad at David and Madison still being together, seemingly going strong, then at this point you do appear to be a hater. You do. Regardless of how murky they started and the people who were hurt by this, it is what it is. Just like Kevin Frazier says towards the end of this reunion, he said, you gotta live with it. Live with it. Basically telling a lot of y'all haters out there to get over it. They're together. They're gonna stand together and they're gonna stand by each other, period. David said he flirted with Madison because he wasn't getting any affection from Michelle, and Madison was giving him what Michelle wasn't giving him. Now, I know a lot of women don't like to hear that. A lot of women do not like to hear, oh, so you're just going to step out just because we wasn't having sex? Yes. Yes, he's going to step out if y'all aren't having sex and it's been a year and it's been 6 months even. Shit. Oh, you can't keep your dick in your pants? No. Hello? Have we met a man? Like, let's be for real. Let's BFFR. Let's BFFR. He's still denying a physical relationship ever took place at that time earlier on, but still neither him nor Madison is being transparent regarding the timeline. David later on says, no, enough. I ain't answering. Y'all don't need to know when we started having sex, how long we had sex, and if we're gonna have sex tonight after the show. Just know this is my woman. I'm gonna marry her. That's what David said. David said, y'all need to mind your business. This is the woman I want to marry, that I'm gonna marry, and it is so. That's what David said. Michelle immediately felt an inauthentic vibe from David. She says she felt that from the beginning, and she believes that was her body telling her, yeah, don't even try it with this guy. Now, granted, we all know Michelle treated David like pew, pew, like pure trash. And it wasn't warranted the way she treated him. But when we look at the context of Michelle's age and the type of life that she desires for herself, I could understand why she saw David. And once she heard, not even just upon looking at him, because there is a rumor, I don't know where it came from or if it's legitimate, that she did want a black guy. She did want a black guy, but she wanted the black guy to be light skinned. Now, whether or not David identifies as a black man, Puerto Rican, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. She was not impressed primarily because of his immediate admission of living in his mom's basement. That immediately, whatever possible potential anything, whatever peace that could have been made between them, it didn't. As soon as he said, yeah, I live at home, I'm in my mama's basement, I eat Takis all day every day, and we share the laundry. Okay. Michelle has a different definition of success. She believes success does include finance and having enough of that. And when she learned of the numbers of David at that time, I don't know what the numbers were. She didn't give us detail, nor did David give us any detail regarding that. But one can assume, considering he was living in his mom's basement and I don't know, he was working he said he has 2 careers. That doesn't make sense. No one has 2 careers. You cannot put full force energy into careers, multiple careers. You mean you have one full-time job and a part-time? Is that what you're saying? And you're just trying to make it sound nice? Oh, I got 2 careers. That's the impression that David was making. Oh, I got 2 careers. I have money. I'm saving up for a house. I have and even though right now David says, yes, I moved out of my parents' basement, but I moved into Madison's home. That part right there, I feel like he's trying to say, look, I'm a big man now. I'm not in my mom's basement. Okay, but you moved into someone else's home, though. You didn't move into your own place. You haven't embarked on the independent life that you swore you can handle. So okay, y'all are splitting the bills. But he says Madison makes more than him, and he said she wants for nothing. She pays for nothing. Basically, when they go out, I'm sure they split the rent or something. I don't think David got it like that. I don't know, unless he's doing something. But nonetheless, Michelle said he was too broke for me, and that's not success. The numbers that I saw made me scared. And considering she was 38, 39 at that time, she did not want a future in that life. Now, some people will say, oh, well, she was never going to live with David in the basement. They had a shared apartment. Granted, yes, that's absolutely true, but it's the principle. It's the principle. Because it's like, okay, we're in the shared home. That means we have to immediately form a connection. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully it's reciprocal. And then let's now actively plan on buying a place. It's like all of these things all at once. And yes, he could have moved into Michelle's place if they were really vibing and they said yes to each other. But I think it was the pressure of making sure everything was aligned, right? Like, oh, let's make sure we're both liking each other, and then we both say yes. And then with that being said, it kind of smooths over the lodging topic. That's what I think. But nonetheless, David says he gives Madison all the security, and his definition of success is security. It is happiness. It is love. And he has that with Madison. Every time David speaks, he's always talking about Madison. I've noticed that throughout this reunion, and a little bit with Madison as well. But I see that a lot with David, which, hey, love wins. Michelle admits that she was judgmental. She was. And I'm glad that she admitted that. She wanted to also stand on the fact that though she was judgmental and though she was judgmental and not very nice to David, that does not warrant him lying to her and this budding infidel or adulterous relationship taking place. So, two things could be true at the same time. Later on in this episode, we see more of that accountability that Michelle is taking, and I'm like taken aback. I'm really impressed. I'm actually proud, and I'm taking. I'm at a loss for words. It was genuine, and what I kind of wanted her to say at that time, maybe she didn't feel like it was necessary, because he cheated and they lied to her and all these things. But a part of me wanted her to, in addition to her already taking accountability, I wanted Michelle to say, you know what, David, though I didn't deserve you lying to me and going outside of our marriage, I do want to apologize to you for the way I treated you. It was unfair. It was judgmental, and you didn't deserve that. I wanted her to say that to him, but we didn't see that. Like, we saw a lot of her saying she takes accountability and she realized that she has trust issues and she's not nice at times and she wants to work on that, and she is working on it. Like, it's a process. Like, Michelle has been straightforward, very much authentic from the very beginning. Nothing about her was either pretentious or putting on for the cameras. You know how some of them had the nerve, like Juan, for example, or Akechi a little bit in the beginning, how he came off like a little con artist. So Madison, Dave, I mean, there are so many cast members, even Brandon, because he's basically a cast member at this point. But a lot of people came across as if they had a representative and they didn't present their authentic selves from the beginning. Not Madison. No, sorry. Excuse me. Not Michelle, though. Not Michelle. Where are we? Kevin called. Oh, okay. So Kevin got a little spicy. Y'all saw that? Did y'all notice that? Kevin got a little spicy with David. I forgot how it started, but I remember David saying how, this process is crazy and this process, this is a strange way to get married. And Kevin's like, but you signed up for it. Like, he went in. He was like, no one shot you in the head. No one had a gun to your head, nigga. You signed up for it. You went through the application process. You watched the show before, because I'm sure you didn't sign up for it, without knowing, blindfold on. No, you knew what Married at First Sight entailed. So stop acting like this was a surprise. Oh, we're going to get married to a stranger? I like that. Kevin Frazier, he's a good host. He's a good host. I know there were some seasons in which he wasn't doing it as best as he's doing it now, but this season he's really getting at these niggas. Juan and Carla are now sitting with Kevin Frazier. Kevin asked them, "Hey, how are you guys doing?" Juan says, "We're good," and he says to Carla, "Are you good? Are you good?" That's what Juan says to Carla. Like, Juan, shut up. God damn. Speak for yourself. First of all, we're not married. We didn't say yes to each other. So stop speaking for me. We're not good. Even though I know Carla is, throughout this episode, she's just like, everything is fine. My chakra. But Carla, shut up. It's annoying, though. It's annoying. Carla says, so Kevin's asking, what did you find attractive about each other? Juan says he loves Carla's eyes. He also loves her personality, which I find it to be a lie, because he kept harping on things that she did or didn't do, right? He was portraying her, or maybe she was portraying herself, but he was pointing out that she wasn't much of a go-getter as he was, right? She would wake up late, noontime. That's late for him, which is, I mean, considerably it is late. She would wake up late. She's not domesticated. She's not cooking or cleaning or doing much around the home. She's not up and at 'em, ready to work out and conquer the day. She's very slow in her walk, in her pace, in her own la la land. That's her personality. So for Juan to say, oh, I love her personality too, like, Juan is just a liar. He's a liar. Carla says she loves his ambition, and she loves that he made her feel like she could be herself. What? Are we watching the same show? Are we watching the same show? Because throughout this season, he never made it seem like she could be herself with him. He never made it seem that way. But okay. Kevin asks, what held y'all back? What held y'all back? Juan says again, he wanted to do things differently. And in his past, he would rush into the physical intimacy, and he would realize shortly thereafter that he wasn't really into that woman. And he did not want to repeat that, which, okay, I could respect that. Absolutely. But regardless of that great excuse, because it's a great excuse. It's a great, because how can you fault him for that? Oh, well, he wants to take it slow. He doesn't want to play with your heart or your feelings. He really want to, make sure this is right. That's beautiful. But they keep saying the same thing throughout this show. This is a crazy experience. It's one of a kind. And yeah, but y'all signed up for it. This is a married at first sight situation. Y'all sign up for it. You have to be as invested as you would in like a rom-com. Like, you have to be all the way in. Not this like slow poke. You have 8 weeks to fall in love, basically. Okay, you have 8 weeks to really be present and explore your spouse. Like, cut it out. I feel like he gives good excuses, and he's trying to make it. We did all we can. No, you didn't. You did not, Juan. You did not. You just played around. The topic of the intimacy coach comes up. Juan says, that wasn't his style. It was weird for him to be a part of that activity. But Carla said she believed they needed her. Intimacy coach or the whole tantric coach. The purpose of that is to really understand and feel comfortable with your partner. It's not only about physical intimacy. It's about simply relaxing yourself into someone else. It's a beautiful experience. I haven't done it, but I understand how it could be helpful in a marriage, in a new relationship. So Juan immediately shutting it out, Juan immediately laughing about it or just not taking it seriously was another example of how Juan was not for real. He was not being effing for real here throughout this marriage. He wasn't. So he wants to talk a lot about, I want to take things slow or do things differently from how I used to do in my past. You didn't do anything. How about that? You didn't do anything here. You didn't try at all. Carla said she knew during the honeymoon that this ain't it, that this marriage was not going to go the distance. As soon as he said the words, I forgot about you. Yeah, that would have done it for me too. Shout out to her though for just riding the ride and going through with the whole experience. That says a lot about her and how she's able to kind of control her emotions. I think she has strong emotional intelligence. But yeah, I think that moment definitely would, it's understandable how she would take that moment and feel, yeah, this is not my person. Because for him to say to her face, with no, like, not even to make it out like a joke or anything. It shows a lot about his lack of consideration for Carla and for what I would also assume to be just for anyone in his life when it comes to being in a romantic relationship with that person. So though Juan is now in a new relationship, he talks about this Brazilian woman. He like, why did you tell us she's Brazilian? Who cares? But I just wonder, is he the same way with her? Because I feel like Juan is just the same type of guy. He's very self-centered. And just like Carla says, he goes by the beat of his own drum. Therefore, is his time, is his activity, is his interest, is his effort when he wants to apply effort, and that's it. Juan does admit again that this was a bad thing to say, and he was sorry for that. It was very disrespectful. And he just felt like at that time, because they were so new, he would say, yeah, we just met each other like 4 days ago. It just wasn't realistic for me to buy massages for Carla. It just wasn't realistic because apparently he saw a few of the other couples buying massages for their spouse. And he thought that was unrealistic or unnecessary. He specifically said unrealistic. Like, this is the realistic experience. Like, what are you talking about? This is the reality that you signed up for. What are we talking about? He said, yeah, it's unrealistic to buy massages for someone who I just met 4 days ago. No, it's not. How about it's unrealistic to get on a show that you apply for, go through the whole application process, marry the person at first sight? How about that being unrealistic? But buying a massage for her on your honeymoon is unrealistic. If you don't get out of my face. Like, what are we talking about? Stupid. Carla makes a point that it's not about the money. Like, and that's, she pointed out that it's not about the money. It's not about how much it costs. It's not about the expense. It's about the act. It's about the gesture. It's about the thoughtfulness of it all. And she gave it to him slick. But I noticed throughout this segment, she was gentle with him. We learned in the beginning of this reunion that they hang out, they're friends. Despite the last episode of this, like prior to this reunion, Carla said no to a friendship with him when he asked her. And we were all praising her like, good, ain't nobody got time. I didn't come in here for a friend. I came here for a husband. So when she said at the beginning of this reunion that they're friends, they hang out all the time, they go to coffee shops. What? Okay. Juan says, he did everything. Like, he was a good husband. He was loyal. He was faithful. He didn't cheat. I didn't cheat on you. Kevin had to stop him and say, hold on, Lowdown. What? You're not supposed to anyway. Like, what are we talking about? Ooh, you didn't cheat. You're a good man. That's a given. That should be a given, right? Carla made the point stand again that she was disappointed because he's trying to, what's his name? Juan was trying to like kind of get her. Like, you said you didn't have any expectations, but in one of the interviews, you made it seem like, you said you were disappointed. So if you were disappointed, that means you had expectations. Okay, nigga, So, yeah, I expected my husband to try. Hello? I expected my husband to give a damn about me and not forget about me. How about that? So Carla said, okay, I was disappointed that you forgot about me. What? He's like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. And, I apologize again. And that was so stupid of me to say. Okay. Juan later on tells us that he went on this solo camping trip after the whole experience, and he said he did so because he wanted to ground with nature. Carla felt so redeemed or validated in this moment because despite the many times Juan tried to play her for her lifestyle choices, it showed that he actually appreciated her perspective regarding nature, regarding all of that. Okay, let's move on to the next segment here. So Kevin talks to all of the men and they start doing the whole superlatives. Who gave the best support? It was Thomas. Or best advice. Who had the most swag? These niggas said Akechi. Akechi shouldn't be said at all. What are we talking about? His backpack? That was swagalicious to y'all? Because he had a backpack? I felt like they were so impressed with his hat during the reunion that they just had to pick him. But cut it out. Y'all notice throughout this segment, though, Akechi showed the most teeth I've ever seen. I didn't know he had teeth. I did not know Akechi had teeth. That's how much he showed his teeth throughout this reunion, especially this episode. Like, okay, let me find out you have teeth, Akechi. Alan was voted to have the most like openness. He's an open book. And David was voted to get married next. Like, can y'all stop playing in Alan's face? It's like they're like, na boo boo. David and Madison are together. So again, we talk about the whole text gate. That's what I'm calling it now, text gate. Juan said he would have lied better. He said, this was a horrible lie. Like when he watched that scene of David and Michelle in the car, and David said, yeah, I saw some food that my cousin Denise texted me, and I was like, oh, that was so good. I just want to eat you up. And that's how he talks to food. Juan said he would have lied better. Whoever his Brazilian girlfriend, take notes. Because what you mean you would have lied? What you mean you would have lied? What you mean you would have sent that text? What you mean? Someone said, I think it was Thomas, because Kevin asked Akechi, you're the only one here who's single. Like, stop. I don't even like to support Akechi, but I just don't like people spotlighting the single person in the room amongst the ones who are in a relationship. It's unnecessary. But anyway, they say that Akechi needs an artistic woman. Akechi stays talking about he's creative, he's an artist. What do you do? What poem do you have? Where can I find this book? Okay. They say that Akechi, because he's so in tune with himself, when he meets the right woman, he would just know. And I wrote down again that this is the most I've seen his teeth. Akechi has teeth, y'all. Look at his teeth. Alan says he is happy in his relationship. They all praise Alan, saying that he's a good catch. He's a good man, Savannah. And I noticed that, David also said the same thing about Alan in this moment. He said, Alan's a good man. He's a great man. Da, 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 da. But Thomas said the same thing prior to. Yet Alan only thanked and recognized Thomas's sentiments about him. He didn't even give any recognition to David saying the same thing to him. Like, it was so funny because I know Alan's trying to present, he's moved on, he's good, but he gave that nigga dust. He was like, he didn't even say thank you. He just kind of averted his eyes and he turned his head only towards Thomas and thanked him. His words means a lot. He gave him so much energy. He didn't give David any type of thanks. None at all. Thomas says he goes to Juan and David for relationship advice. What? I feel like at this point, they're just saying anything. So now it's the team of experts. So we have Dr. Pia, Pastor Cal, and Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pia walks in with her pregnant ass. Hello. Congrats to her. She says it was a surprise. She didn't think that it would have happened. And basically, she has a miracle baby, and it's going to be a girl. So God bless. That's amazing. Congrats to her and her husband. But let's go ahead and move forward. So now they did say that their biggest disappointment is David and Madison. But then Kevin Frazier said, well, hey, y'all should take it as a win, right? Like, y'all should still add this a part of your wins for the yes on decision day. Now we get Alan and Michelle. They come out and speak with the experts, and and Kevin Frazier just kind of sits back while they have a conversation. Alan tells us that while he was dating people would see him as a red flag because he was on the show, and they had this perception of, oh, you must be, just a corny dude for being on the show. You must be so desperate to be on the show. Experts say that Alan was open to feedback, and they really appreciate how receptive he was. Alan made a point to say that, yeah, I'm open to superficial things, like superficial changes I needed to make, like, oh, my teeth, which I don't think the Invisalign, I mean, I'm sure it takes more than a year. I think I've heard that, but I still saw the snaggletooth. So when does that go away? When does that go away, Alan? But Alan's still a good guy. He's still a good guy. So he just made a point to say, like, yeah, I'm fine with, getting a Invisalign. My teeth fucked up. I still got a snaggletooth, so I still got a snaggletooth, so nigga. And I'm fine with changing my clothes, changing my wardrobe. But as far as my core values, that ain't gonna change. I'm a good man, Savannah. And I love that he stood 10 toes down on that. Pastor Cal was like, no, yeah, we know that. You're a good man. I don't know. I felt like Pastor Cal wanted to defend himself because maybe he got the impression that Alan felt pressure to change some values of his, some core values of his. So Alan made a point to say, no, I'm fine with changing outer appearances, but as far as my core values, I'm a good man. And ain't shit gonna change about that. Michelle tells us here that she has trust issues, and she learned this about herself throughout this experience, and she realized she did push David away. She says she did. And again, I really appreciate this accountability from Michelle. It took us a moment, but we got here. So good for her. She said initially she did think the text was for her, the text gate, the whole "you look so damn fine, I want to eat you up" text. She did think that was for her initially. And the reason for that is she thought that David was suddenly trying to shoot his shot, or suddenly, just showing some energy, some bravado. But immediately she came to her senses, like, ain't shit going on here. Why would he send you that text? We get to David in this moment. I guess he comes out at this time. They swap, and now it's Michelle and David. And David says, "Respect." No. We get to So Alan and Michelle leave, and now it's David and his new woman, Madison. Kevin Frazier asks again about the timeline. I think one of the experts asks as well. David said, respectfully, I'm declining to answer the question. And that says a lot. That says all that we need to know. And Madison the whole time, did y'all notice Madison just looking at him straight in his face, like, in his face? Girl, back. I don't like when people do that. When I'm talking, I appreciate you giving me the floor, but your eyes don't need to be right here. Like, why are you right here on my eye? You're right on my cheek. Back up, bitch. I know we're together, but goddamn, it was too much. I didn't like that. And you could tell they talked about it. You could tell, not even they talked about it, that Madison coerced or had him rehearse. Okay, look, this is what we're gonna say next. Next time they ask us this question, you could tell they probably said that or put that plan in motion right in the middle of the recording, right? Like when they had a break to go to the back room, I think David and Madison said to each other, okay, look, they're gonna ask us this again. Let's just say we respectfully decline. We're not gonna answer, let's just end it here. What else? Apparently there was a rumor. I never heard the rumor, but the rumor was that David and Madison originally paired. Like they were the ones who the experts originally paired. Immediately Pastor Cal said no. Immediately said no. So I'm like, but where did our rumor come from? Like, what's that about? So now we get to Amem and Akechi. We notice that there's a seat empty in between them. I just thought it was a moment of being petty again, that Akechi just could not stand sitting next to Amem. But then I realized shortly after, oh, that's because Brandon, Amem's fiance, is going to come in. As soon as he walked in, Akechi walked out. But let's rewind a little bit. Let's rewind. Akechi felt like she didn't want to know him, and that was a part of the reason why they had a downfall in their marriage. He felt like that she didn't want to know him, and there were two sides to that. One, he wasn't open, and two, he wants someone to have his, I don't know what I wrote down for that, but that's a testament of how Akechi doesn't make any sense. Hello? That's a testament to how much he doesn't make any sense. For him to be this creative, for him to be this wordsmith, a poet, this nigga don't know how to make any sense with his stupid hat. Are you flying somewhere? Anyway, Akechi, so Dr. Pia asked Akechi, how? How did she have your back? How? Give me an example. How? Akechi's like, she just didn't have my back. She just didn't have my back. And then he finally said, well, a part of me realizes that I didn't want her to have my back, that I wasn't in it. So we see Akechi finally taking a level of accountability, which is just, too little too late. But it just sucks that throughout this reunion, he not once gave a valid example or any example. He just says these general statements. She didn't have my back. She didn't want to get to know me. How did a ma'am not want to get to know you when all she did was ask you questions? All she did was try to get to know you. Yeah, you was mad because she's hitting you with an answer stick. Ma'am said she felt robbed. This experience felt like a robbery to her. And that's because Akechi ain't shit. Dr. Pepper did not give much marriage advice, I wrote down. And I think that's because Dr. Pepper lives a different type of lifestyle. Okay, she is married, but her and her husband do not live in the same home. And I love that. Good for her. Good for her. I want us to normalize different lifestyles when it comes to marriage. We get so harp on live in the same house and it has to be this one cookie cutter way, and if it's not, then you in danger, girl. When it's like, no, it's not true. Anyway, Brandon enters the picture, and like I said, as soon as he entered, Akechi walked out like the bitch ass nigga he is. Brandon stares at him as he's walking out, and then he extends his hand to Akechi, trying to give him a handshake. And Akechi says, nah, I'm good. Brandon continues to walk towards the stage, and he's like giving a whole little jump and twist. You know that Frank Sinatra dance that he did back in the day in New York. That's what Brandon was doing. He was doing a little too much. I feel like Brandon wants to be on TV. Now, granted, this is a moment in time. It's not like they're gonna be a reoccurring act on a show. Like we're gonna be over them by July. But I think Brandon is soaking this in. He wants to be on TV. I'm not saying he doesn't love a ma'am or that they don't have real love. Who knows? I'm not coming off as a hater. Like some of y'all don't want to see anyone happy. I know David and Madison, yes, we get it. Oh, we don't want to condone cheating, but niggas cheat all the time, B. And we find love with someone else while being in a relationship with a nigga, or with a woman who we realize we should have ended with, but it's cheaper to keep her. Hello? Is the mic on? Hello? I'm going on a tangent. Let me stop saying my business. Okay, so yeah, Brandon walks in. He's like, woohoo! I made a bet. What was your bet? Well, my bet was he wasn't gonna hold my hand. He wasn't gonna shake my hand. First of all, who you betting? And how much was on that? How much did you win? And is that money going towards the wedding with you and a mem? Let's go to the next page here. Yeah, because I got a lot. David and Madison, they're in the green room together. David gives Ike a hug. He says, "You a good man. You a good man." What? Brandon says Akechi fumbled the bag. You have a queen right here. You got a queen right here, dog. You got a queen. Brandon was doing too much. I don't know what he was trying to do, but it was too much. That's what he was doing. I felt like he was doing the most, almost. So Kevin Frazier talks about, this being the quick engagement that it is. Dr. Pepper says, she wonders what was the motivation. Like, she put it in such a great way. Like, what was, you trust this nigga, Amam? Amam explains that this was love at first sight. But I noticed while Amam was talking, initially, Dr. Pepper had this pained smile on her face. Like, hey, girl, okay. But look, this show is about marrying at first sight. Amam can't find love at first sight with the next guy. I know his rap sheet doesn't look great. I know he is still married. I know she is still married because her divorce with Akechi still wasn't finalized apparently, because we see in the next preview, because the show this season still isn't over. It's not over. But we see, sorry, my dog got excited after I screamed. But we see the next episode that Akechi and Amam are still legally married. So again, yeah, it's the irony for me. You see both Amam and Brandon getting engaged, and both of them are still married. Sometimes you gotta move on regardless, right? Sometimes you gotta move on regardless. Brandon talks about the first date that they had after they rekindled. They had a long night, and he's like, "Yeah, we were doing this. We were doing all of this. It was a long night." I was like, "Are you serious?" That was so inappropriate. You could see it in the faces of the experts. And I think he lacked the switch in his mind to realize, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. Like, no one wants to know how y'all were just humping and bumping. And Amam, being the supportive fiance that she is, she's like, you could tell in her face that first of all, her neck's still not moving. She's like, girl, the hair is cute, but they could loosen it up a bit. Put some oil, some Jamaican castor oil. But Ma'am, she was supporting her man low key. She was like, "Yeah, I mean, it was a good night. It was a good whatever she was saying." But that was low key embarrassing. I wish he didn't do that. That was awkward. He should have never referenced that. But he made a point to say, yes, it was a long night. We were having sex all night, fucking and humping. I was blowing her back out. I was giving her all she didn't have from Akechi. I was that nigga. That's what Brandon was saying. He said after I fucked her, after I ate her pussy down, after that, we laid out our future together. Ooh, sorry, there was this fly. Wouldn't leave me alone. I got it. Okay. After that, Brandon said I laid out our future together and what our life will look like together. And I actually appreciate that, because I know last episode, I believe I said it just, I'm not necessarily not in favor of them getting married and whatever. I feel like we don't have to follow the same timeline, right? I feel like people get so caught up in the whole, well, it was too quick. Or, it was, do you really know him? Yada, yada, yada. I don't think it was that for me. For me, it was about like the logistics of it all. Like, okay, well, are you familiar with his family? Like, have y'all talked about life first before making this big life decision? And now that Brandon said that, they did. They did for a day, and they said yes afterwards. I mean, whatever. Brandon gets up and then he asks Pastor Cal, before I get back on this plane, I want to be the husband of Amam. I want you to marry us. I need you to marry us right now, Pastor Cal. Would you do that, Pastor Cal? Would you do that? Pastor Cal's like, okay, hold on. I'm really a pastor. I'm not gonna marry ain't shit. I'm not marrying Amem, Kamem, Kem, Shem. I'm not Abraham. I'm not marrying any of y'all until we go through premarital counseling. That's what Pastor Cal said. So he said, slow down, low down, calm down. Brandon's still standing up, like doing all this hysterical, hysterical shit. And Mom tells him, sit down, baby, sit down. I think they're made to be together. I think it's going to work out. I do. He's very hyper. He's very energetic. And though Amem made a point and said, this is the love that she wanted, right? She said that he gives her the consistency that she's always wanted in a relationship. He gives her the secure, like he fills her cup. And I love that for her. So I'm happy. She's happy. I'm happy. I'm here for it. And I love that while he's excited and energetic, and though she is supportive of whatever he has going on, she knows how to kind of bring him down. Like, okay, baby, sit down, baby. And she does it gently. She does it gently. And I think that's amazing. So God bless. We did learn that Amem had a miscarriage. They got pregnant pretty early on in their year together so far, and she lost a baby, and that was pretty sad. She says it's still hard to talk about, but we're going to do our best to move forward and continue with our hope to have a family. The experts, I feel like once they learned about that, it made them soften up a bit, and they eventually said, you like it, I love it. You like it, I love it, motherfucker. You like it, I love it. We get to Madison and David. Madison and David sit with the experts and Kevin Frazier. Dr. Pepper says they look good together now. Y'all look good together. Matching green, y'all look good together. The whole timeline again was brought up. That's when David he apologized to the experts for the lies that he told them, and he respectfully declined. He literally said that, respectfully declined to answer the timeline question, which tells us all we need to know. It tells us all we need to know. Dr. P.S. says, when was the moment you decided to risk it all? She asked that to Madison. And Madison said it was at the time when she saw David being broken down. And I don't like this response. I don't like this response because she puts the blame on Michelle, right? Like it still lacks the accountability that Madison could have had in that moment. But instead, I'm going to bash another woman. I'm going to put the focus on her. And it's because of her, because of Michelle being a horrible human being to David. That is why I cheated on my husband and cheated with another woman's husband because he was being broken down. Girl, what? Okay. They keep referencing the honeymoon, like that was a time in which they started. That tells us again all that we need to know, the timeline. Honeymoon was 4 days into meeting your new spouse. 4 days into it. Okay, so y'all been fucking. Pastor Cal says, look, forgive the past. We're gonna move on. Y'all moving on, we gonna move on. But let's just move on. I'm tired of talking about this text. Let's move on. Dr. Pia says she encouraged y'all to be the honest versions of yourselves with each other. And I love that she said that because look, we learned that of course they were liars up to a point until they got exposed. And this, so one could say they started this foundation of their relationship on lies. But so what? Be honest now. Be honest now. And this is the part when they take credit for Madison and David. So any relationship that turns out to be a loving or, a yes on decision day type of relationship, the experts want to take credit for that. Kevin tells all of us to live with it. And I'm living with it. It ain't nothing. It is what it is. There's a lot of people reviewing this show, and they call Madison trash. They go in. I want to hang out with him. All this. It's like, calm down. Were you like people apply their past relationships and traumas to David and Madison? Like, y'all need to let it go. Their life is not black and white. It's not. Like, life is not black and white. Life is not a straight and narrow path. No, you're gonna go through murky waters. There will be the highs and lows. You're gonna just figure out things aren't as easy as you thought they were. You know how when you were younger, you would see your parents as mom and dad, and you only have them at that pedestal, and you don't see them as human beings who make mistakes, human beings who don't know what they're doing and they're trying their best, or they don't know how to communicate, and they keep falling short, but they're human beings, and then they're trying. And until you get older and you get to that age when you put your parent at that pedestal, you get to that age of 37, 42, or whatever the age is, and then you realize, God, my parents was just doing their best with what they had, with the information they had, with the emotional intelligence that they had, with the lack thereof that they had, all of that they had. They were doing their best. Why'd I bring this up though? I forgot the whole point. But I bring this up to say life is not black and white. And sometimes you will get in a relationship with someone you cheated with and you'll find better love with them. Hello? That was the end of my rant. So let people love who they want to love. If they find better love with the person they cheat with, so you move on too. What are we talking about? Let it go. The entire group meet with the no, it's just with Kevin Frazier, because we don't have enough space to do that with the experts as well. They talk about the comment section. This is the part I'm gonna run through this because this is kind of corny. They talk about the comment section being the most surprising. They realized a lot of people had hate in their heart. Juan talking about people hated him just because of where he came from. Juan, what? Where's he from again? Colombia or Venezuela? I don't give a damn. I've never heard people hating him simply because of where he came from. That's never. Juan stays acting like he's a victim. No, I was kidnapped when I was 8 or 6 months. No, you weren't. I mean, maybe you were. I don't give a damn. But the point is, no one hated you, Juan, because you came from Colombia. No, we hated you. And that's a loose. Well, it's loose for me because it's a heavy word to say. So that's what I'm saying. It's loose. Like, that's a very loose. Like, I don't hate him at all. But people disliked him because of his lack of authenticity, and his lack of effort in his marriage, and him portraying as if he's trying his best. No, you took this as a joke. So this idea of like, oh, we hate him because you came from Colombia, don't really give a damn. Alan said people thought he was gonna become a monk and go to India, wherever it was, because Madison destroyed his soul, and his family had rage for Madison and David. And apparently Madison's grandma was defending her online and trying to hold her down, and she's in her 80s. Akechi says he wants people to know they're human. We're human. This part was so corny. David cusses too much. That's what I wrote down. David cusses too much. And I wrote that down because he cusses too much. He has a lack of vocabulary. It's very unattractive. And I ride with Michelle. I really do. I understand why Michelle said what she said about him, because yeah, it's embarrassing to cuss like that. But Michelle is older. Michelle is 40. Madison is 30. Madison probably cusses up a storm too, but that's a difference in generational upbringing, all of that. I remember growing up too. I'm not 40 yet, but not too far off, right? The point is, when I remember being younger, and when people would cuss, like kids around me would cuss, they will always be reprimanded for doing so, and it was on the standpoint of, you sound like an idiot, you sound like a fool. There are so many words in the dictionary, and you choose to use the F word, the S word. You can't even say shit. Like, it was really, I had to get older and kind of find my flow into cuss words. Like, that was not a part of my vocabulary at all. So it really shows the lack of intelligence of someone when they cuss too much. I agree with that. That's how I was raised. So I understand how Michelle felt that way, and it made me cringe. But you see Madison over there like, looking at him right in his face while he's cussing up a storm. Like, this is so gross. Camille wanted to defend David and let him know that he's a good man, Savannah. At first I was okay, where's she going with this? But she wanted to defend him primarily because of the slack he was getting for, or the flack. I don't know. I always forget which one it was. Flack or slack? Let me know in the comments below. But she wanted to let everyone know that it's not cool how much he was basically getting bullied for living at home with his parents. I agree. I do agree. I understand still why Michelle didn't find it attractive because of the space that she is in her life. But I don't agree that it was fair for him to get dragged or be seen as a bum for living at home with his parents. Culturally, there are many different cultures who stay at home till they do get married, if they do get married. But I mean, if they get too old at a point, they eventually do move out. But there's an understanding that you kind of just stay at home until you get married, depending on the culture that you're from. Kevin tells us he's gonna bring the person in the room or the character from this season that was the most disruptive, and the cast members are unaware of what he was going to say next. I guess they immediately thought it was gonna be one of them, but I had a feeling it was gonna be Alan's dog Luffy, and it was. Luffy came out. It's like, no, he didn't come out, but you see a montage of how much of a demon dog he was. They said the word demon. I don't really agree with describing your dog as a demon. That's kind of crazy. But to his defense, he was 9 months at the time, and he was getting acclimated to this new place, this shared apartment. But I do think it's a testament of how little training or lack of boundary Alan had for his dog. Like, I think some people are like that, and it's very disturbing. Like, why is your dog sleeping on your bed? I have a dog, y'all. Y'all know I have a dog. My dog is in his place. Yes, there's a boundary. Okay. So anyway, I think that's about it. Basement talk. Madison talks about a plan for him. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the basement a little bit again. Madison, because Kevin asked Madison, how did you feel about David being in his base? It was like, oh God, this question again. She said, yeah, they talked about having a plan for them to move out, for him to move out. Kevin made a point to say, yeah, so he moved out and he moved into your place. I was like, oh gosh, Kevin is shady. But Madison made a point to say, yeah, because we were moving forward in our relationship and we thought it was a good idea to just move in together and move into my place. And she said, though her place is small, it works out because apparently Madison travels a lot for work. First of all, I don't remember what she does for work, but she travels a lot for work. I believe she referenced being in a male-dominated workplace, and that gave me pause. Because once she says she travels a lot for work, and I remember that she works a lot with men, I was like, well, there she goes. She's going to cheat again. I will not be surprised, y'all. David's going to be so hurt. But I don't like wishing bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if she does. Yeah, so she says she travels a lot for work, and they mostly go out, and David doesn't work from home. He goes to work, so it works out. And it is what it is. So Juan says, this is where I end off, because at this point it was wrapping up anyway. Juan says, you have our support. And I was like, Juan, enough. I forgot at this point that y'all thought this season was over. But no, there's going to be another episode of Where Are They Now? And y'all know I'm going to tune in while still complaining that this season, this show is too long. But it's entertaining nonetheless. Let me know what y'all think about this reunion. Leave it in the comments below, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.